yesterday we were seeing this is how different cities were there, and now they have to administer this land. For the first time in history, a kingdom is going to rule vast territory. This is what the difference between earlier kingdoms and Mauryan Empire. When it comes to earlier Magadha was a small kingdom. Then Kosala was a small kingdom. Anga, different Mahajanapadas were there. They are very small in size and they were ruling the small territory. And as a result, population is less, territory is less, and difficulties also less comparing with this vast size. Now Mauryans got challenged to rule this much big territory. Even today itself, we are facing so many issues in administering this territory. And what is the basis for administering this territory today? That is the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution provides the framework that how Council of Ministers should behave, what are the roles and functions, powers of President, how administration is organized, what is the nature of relationship between different states and the center. All these are given in the Indian Constitution. Accordingly, each and every part of the territory is going to be ruled or being ruled since Constitution came into existence accordingly based on the Constitution. Now we are in 3rd century BCE. When we are in 3rd century BCE, in those circumstances, it was a difficult challenge, but despite that, they could manage it and they administered it successfully. These are the various territories. Now, different regions were there, and here ports, they were using land route as well as river routes, different rivers, ports were there. In addition to that, if we go to the society, Brahmanas were there. Now we are in 321 to 185 BC. At this time, Brahmanas, that means Vedic religion was there. Then Buddhism was there. Jainism was there. Ajivaka sect was there. And gradually Upanishadic thoughts. And in fact, this Vedic religion questioned by Upanishadic thought itself. Based on this, emergence of orthodox philosophies like Sankhya, Nyaya, so yoga and so on, they are also in the incipient stage, emergence, origin, beginning stage. Now when it comes to ideologies, these many ideologies are there in India. These are various areas, and this area, Kalinga, this area, Suvarnagiri, this is Malwa or central region, and this is northwest frontier. In this location, people are different. In this location, people are different. In this location, people are different. When it comes to social conditions, we have Varna system, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and in fact there are other things like slaves, Jati system, and tribes. You see this? This is how different regions, different people are there. Now when it comes to this area, here Parisians, Greeks. Because before the emergence of Greeks, already Parisians were there. That's why Kharosthi script came. And in this area, Aramaic language, Greek languages. When it comes to script, Kharosthi script. And when it comes to here, Brahmi script. In this area, Aramaic language, Greek language. When it comes to this area, Pali language, Prakrit language. And in this area, the basic traditions, whatever Chalcolithic people, then Iron Age people, they were speaking, different kind of dialect might be there. And when it comes to deep down, Sangam states, this is Tamil. Tamil also emerging by this time period. That is why Sangam literature is taking shape at this point of time. Now gradually the beginning of these different languages also emerging. Now you see this. It is not a territory which is having the similar type of people, similar type of language, similar type of economic pattern. Some people speak different language, some people follow different religion, some people have different ideologies, and geographically they are very different. Now you need to administer this much vast diversity land. So this is what, in simple term, diversity. And why Mauryan Empire is one of the best examples in our Indian history means, given the limited communications, when you compare with the modern day communications today, we have road transportation, railway transportation, airports are there. Then internet revolution, communication system very advanced, very fast. Within fraction of seconds, message reach to any part of India. But at that time, communication system is road system, river system, shipment is there. But still, it takes so many days to reach the message. And despite that, this diversity was handled successfully by the Mauryans. And this is one of the best achievements of Indian Empire or Indian Kingdom. This is what, during the British time period, Indian nationalists and freedom fighters were projecting to the British ideology. British ideology was saying we were not ruled and we were never unified. We don't know how to administer ourselves. That is why they started following the policy of divide and rule. For different religions, they used to divide. That is how from 1909 onwards, communal electorate that gradually applied to different religions, different segments of the society. But Indians, when they started knowing more and more about our own past, they were getting more and more solutions. How to handle our own diversity. Diversity is no doubt a very big challenge, but despite that, how to handle this diversity? When we look back, we are getting solutions within our own history. Mauryan Empire is one such best example. Please note down this. Now, this is what they are going to administer, and they definitely need a very well organized structure. Please note down this. Sanju and Kanchan, are you able to understand this one? Yes. Please note down this, because this is the context in which they are ruling. And in fact, in Buddhism also, it is not unified. There are so many sects within Buddhism. Jainism also, again, different sects. You can see how difficult it was. Please let me know once it is done. Done? Can I continue? Okay. Now this administration, the king, this much diverse land was being ruled by single authority, the king, monarchy. So you give the heading like features of Mauryan administration. Features of Mauryan administration. Monarchy. When it comes to republics, it was called oligarchy. When it comes to Mauryan Empire, this is monarchy. When it comes to Gupta, monarchy. British Empire, constitutional monarchy. What does it mean? Constitutional monarchy means monarch is there, but powers are limited by the constitution. But at this time, there is no such thing called constitutional monarchy. And despotic rulers, whatever king decides, whatever monarch decides, that is the rule of the land. But despite that, they were not such arbitrary people. And still they were following laws based on the existing norms. Now you can see the existing norms like Ardhashastra, one example. Dharma Shastra, Dharma Sutras, by this time Dharma Sutras were gaining the shape. Existing social norms and existing religious ideologies entered into the state also. Rulers were following those things. Monarchy, then Yuvaraja. He used to assist the king. He used to assist the king. He was called crown prince. Then king was advised by Purohita, chief priest. Chief priest. And king was also advised by council of ministers. You can see that how kings were, the rulers were not taking decisions on their own. They have a system, and based on that, ultimately the final decision, kings only. But immediately he is not the taking decisions. Before that, he was advised by other institutions as well. Council of Ministers, Amatyas, and different administrative departments were there. And these departments, one example of head of these departments, Adhyaksha. Adhyakshas. Here you write Mantri, Amatyas, Adhyakshas, examples. King. And what is the rule of law? And what rule they were following? The law of the land is according to Ardhashastra. Whatever Kautilya was the chief minister of Chandragupta Maurya, and he was advising for some time for his son Bindusara also. He advised Ardhashastra. Dharma Sutras, existing social norms, and monarchs' own policies. For example, Ashoka's Dhamma. How they are? So, law of the land. And today, you can simply replace all these with Indian Constitution. And when it comes to today's here, king will not be there, president. Yuvaraja will not be there, Purohita will not be there, council of ministers, administrative departments. And that is why Kautilya's Ardhashastra, we are getting these details from Kautilya's Ardhashastra. This is how state is organized. Next one. This is the top level administration. This is the law of the land. Next, security agencies. This very big land, and you need law and order, security agencies, law enforcement agencies also might be there. Without law enforcement agencies, how can you rule this vast territory? And today also, if we don't have army, if we don't have police network, then you can imagine what happens to our Indian territory. Immediately, if there is no army, it is invaded by the neighbors. If there is no police, law and order problem immediately arise. And despite having army, despite having police, also we are seeing criminal activities, Naxal movements, and terrorism, or the external aggressions are also taking place, despite having this state machinery. And same is the case at that time also. State security agencies should be there. And these security, standing army, at that time, infantry means foot soldiers, elephants, so elephant wing, chariot wing, then horses, cavalry wing. Horses, chariots, elephants. And today, if you see, if you take today's condition, like we have missiles, tanks, and cyber security related networks. This is present day challenge, and present day threats are changed. That is why our technology also changed. In 3rd century, it was almost throughout in ancient India and medieval India, almost it is going to be followed. Standing army. And to handle them, military department was created. And they used to look after the army personnel and the other infrastructure facilities, whatever is required. Then, police department, jails were maintained. Next one, espionage system. A very strong spy system. Internal spying and external spying. Today it is like Intelligence Bureau, IB, for internal information gathering system. For external information gathering system, RA is there. At that time, espionage system is also very strong. They were getting information from every nook and corner of the country. This is with respect to security agencies. Justice system. Justice system. Today we have justice system means Supreme Court is there, then under it high courts, district courts. We have separated. In modern time period, this is the case. Legislation, executive, judiciary. Legislative, parliament, executive, council of ministers, and judiciary, courts. In modern time, we are calling it as separation of powers. No power is accumulated in single department or single hand, because historically, all these powers were invested with a single hand. When it comes to here, king. King was the highest authority. If king is enlightened one, if king is responsible, now there was one question in essay also. Huge responsibility comes with huge power. Great power comes with great responsibility. All these powers, if they are invested in single hand, if they are responsible, they used these powers accordingly for the welfare of the people. But if the king is not enlightened one, or if king is not intelligent one, these powers are going to be abused. That's what happened throughout ancient history of not only India, ancient history of the world, medieval history of the world. These powers, by birth, whether this king is having the capabilities or not, by birth, they were given these powers, because that is the existing social norm. That is what hereditary system. Father, then after the death of father, son will become the king. Whether son is having his capabilities or not, it doesn't matter. But king is succeeded by the successor. If they are not capable enough, but powers are there in their hand, they used to misuse. And as a result, people used to suffer. And as a result, empires got disintegrated. That is what, it is not common in India also, everywhere, throughout our human history, you can think. Throughout our human history, entire big empires also collapsed because even these powers were not utilized properly by the rulers. When weak rulers were there, then obviously external threat will happen. Here, military department becomes wing, espionage system will become weak, police department will become weak. That is why today, if there is no stable government, again same thing will happen. But if power in these times, if king is not powerful enough, then these departments also will not listen to the central authority. Then when they are weak, both internal threats as well as external threats will emerge. If external threat becomes strong, it leads to the disintegration of the empire. External invasions used to take place. Within the country also, internal revolts used to take place. And police system and army will not be able to handle if king is not powerful. In those times, entire powers were vested with this. That's why judiciary system also in the hands of king. Executive, he runs the entire administration. King, he gives the laws of the land. For example, Ashoka gave Ashoka Dhamma. That means it's a kind of legislation. He gave himself. Similarly, during medieval time period, Akbar, he is going to follow the policy of Sulhai-Kul, and he himself decide what should be the rule of the land. That is why they abolished the taxes. Here, Ashoka also abolished certain taxes in Lumbini. Akbar also abolished certain taxes, for example, jizya, he abolished. In today's time, Parliament imposed the tax, abolished the tax. Bureaucracy, they execute the policies, and judiciary concerned with the justice system. In those times, all these powers were vested with him. In justice system also, king was the highest authority. In addition to that, judges will be there, because every day, every time, king will not sit there. Dharmastha. Dharmashastras were used. For example, today, judiciary system, what is the basis of judiciary system in 21st century after independence? What is the basis? How Supreme Court or High Courts or District Courts? One is Indian Constitution, based on Constitution. It was supplemented with Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code. So they used to take the provisions of these laws and they are giving the judgments. In those times, whatever king promulgate, that is one authority, another one is Dharmashastras. Local customs also there. Local customs and traditions. This was the law of the land. They used to take these as the reference and they used to give the judgment. And yesterday, day before yesterday, we have seen in Saptanga theory, inequality in the justice system according to Saptanga theory or according to Ardhashastra. Different punishments for different varnas. We have seen this. In our Indian Constitution itself, we have equality before law. From Article 14 to 18, equality before law. Why we were including, why our founding fathers included that particular principle in our Constitution means, historically, this equality before law was not followed. And as a result, some people got the privileges, some people were having disabilities. Some people were left out in the society, those gradually they became untouchables. So this is one of the evil system that is going to become very severe, particularly by British time period. Within our Indian society, we have the divisions. Even today also, these evils are persisting. And because throughout history, these different punishments for different varnas, that means different treatment for different people, no equality before law. But when it comes to Ashoka, followed Samata, equality before law. So this is the lesson what we can learn from history. Equality before law. Whenever enlightened people come, they will not follow the whatever injustice system, whatever they feel that is not good for the society. Whatever they feel injustice. And when it comes to even during British time period also, against this same, we were calling with a different term in British time period. We were calling that as racial discrimination. For British people or Europeans, one type of judiciary system, and for Indians, different type. And within Indians also, Hindus treated differently, Muslims differently. That is why when 1883, the time period when Elbert Bill came to remove these disabilities. Indian judges were not able to try Europeans. Elbert Bill was aimed at removing this disability. But people of Europeans, they themselves protested that Europeans are not equal to the Indians, they should not remove this particular provision. And that is where Indian nationalism emerged. That is one of the examples. But in our ancient time and medieval time, this was very common practice in our tradition and system itself. And this is what Indian Constitution tried to address. Historical injustice. So this is what the particular term you will see often, historical injustice. This is the same reason why reservations are also given in modern India. So this is justice system. Next one. Economic role of the state. State used to involve in the economic activities also. We can consider, equate with present day, like after independence, public sector undertakings. Even today also we are having public sector undertakings. What does it mean? These are the departments of the state itself and they used to do business. These departments were involving in the business, but they are the state departments. In modern India also we see French East India Company, English East India Company, French East India Company. They were fighting in Carnatic Wars. English East India Company was a private company, whereas French East India Company is a department of the state. Likewise, whenever these today in the today's language, public sector undertakings, particularly after independence, they were major industries in India. Just we got independence, state actively promoted economic activities so that economy of the state economy of India will improve and it will help the people. In Mauryan time period also, because it got lot of territory. According to Saptanga, treasury is one of the important elements. Treasury is important element, and how you can fill the treasury by each and every activity. If you get tax, if you get revenue of from the state, then state becomes very powerful. That is why when this much land is under its control, it started involving in the economic activities also. It started imposing taxes on almost every economic activity. And even Ardhashastra used to say that it is used to take the sentiment of the people also to extract the revenue. Sometimes Ardhashastra says superstitious beliefs were intentionally spread in the society so that the people, for example, if you install one idol, then people will offer different kinds of offerings to the god, and that offerings goes to the state. So these kind of superstitious beliefs are also promoted for the sake of increasing the revenue. Whether it is moral, immoral is now we are deciding. But at that time, Ardhashastra considered that is one of the state policies to improve the revenue of the state. So that is how you have to say, in the modern times, these evils or these immoral things we try to remove in our Indian Constitution. That shows how state was involving in the economic activities. Almost every economic activity, agriculture, industries, trade, transportation, customs, navy, everywhere state involves and state try to get the revenue. Revenue Department. Revenue Department, officials like Sannidata, Samaharta, Chief of Treasury. Samaharta, he was the collector. Adhyakshas. Now you see this particular department. Adhyakshas are heads of various departments. Heads of various economic departments. Almost every economic activity is controlled by the state. State officer will be there. Without notice of the government, economic activities will not hide. Agriculture. Supervised by Sitadhyaksha. Markets. Samastadhyaksha. Toll collection. Shulkadhyaksha. Mines. Mines. Akaradhyaksha. Then Navy. Navadhyaksha. Navy. Navadhyaksha. Yes, state monopoly in mining, metallurgy, Ardhashastra details on technique of mining and metallurgy. Very good. So this shows state controlled, state owned the resources. And today also, coal, for example, coal is a national resource. Indian government auction the coal resource and it gets the revenue. Today, spectrum is a national resource. 2G spectrum, 3G, 4G, 5G, we are seeing state get the revenue. As the new mode of economic activity increases, state own it and state distribute it to the people and state get the revenue. Different adhyaksha, these are only few. Likewise, there were 27 adhyakshas. Now you can imagine how state entrenched into different departments. So you can think like, now you get the doubt that whether it is a social state, socialism was followed in those times itself. This kind of economic activities and this kind of state involvement made Karl Marx also believe that European economic system was different, Oriental economic system was different. And he used to use this word Asiatic mode of production. And where he used to feel state used to interfere in every economic activities. And later that his ideology became foundation for the socialist states later. That's how communism emerged, Marxism and communism, then many different people like Leninism, Maoism, different people inspired from the Karl Marx principle. Their fundamental idea is state controls every part of the economic activities. And that is why during Cold War, entire world divided into two. One is capitalist world, another one is communist. Capitalist says complete freedom in the economic activities, and socialism or the communism, complete state control. When it comes to India, we followed mixed model, where state also involves, where private property also there, private enterprises were also there, state involvement also there. This is why public sector undertakings is the principle of state involvement in the economic activities. But we got a different weakness in that by 1990s, by 1991, our economic system completely collapsed because of bureaucratic inefficiencies, corruption, and various other factors also outside external factors. Rise in the price of oil, import cost increased, balance of payment crisis came. That is why by 1991, we were feeling that the state involvement or the free market, without free market, our economy will not be progressing. That is why liberalization, privatization came. Liberalization, privatization, globalization. Before that, we were also following mixed model. Socialist pattern of society was a dominant theme. And in Mauryan time period, this shows presence of a state in every department shows some kind of socialist pattern of society, socialist pattern of the state system. This is how state used to increase the revenues. Up to here clear? This is how Mauryan state was functioning. Next one. In our Indian Constitution, which part of our Indian Constitution talks about welfare of the people? It talks about village panchayats. It talks about Gandhian principles. It talks about ownership of the workers. Which part of Indian Constitution? Very good. DPSPs, Directive Principles of State Policy. These state policies, directive principles, Constitution itself gave some directions to the state that you should take care of welfare of the people. And similarly, Mauryan state was also conscious about this welfare of people or welfare policies of the people. It did not ignore. It also followed. How? What is the evidence to say that they followed welfare policies? Here in Gujarat region is semi-arid. To promote agriculture and for promoting water, you have to follow the water management techniques. One of the survived evidence is Rudradaman's inscription, Junagadh inscription or Girnar inscription of Rudradaman. It provides reference to irrigation system during Mauryans. In Gujarat. That is only survived one. Because of inscription we are able to read it. Similar kind of pattern, Ardhashastra, the similar kind of pattern Mauryans might have followed in Gangetic Valley also. So in different parts, they were following. This is one example. And similarly, in different parts also, they might have followed similar kind of irrigation facilities, but they did not survive. This is only survived evidence for us. This gives evidence that they involved. State promoted irrigation. It is a welfare policy of the people. Today also, we are state, both central government and state government, they used to implement so many schemes for promoting irrigation, for promoting water management, for promoting or developing different dams, different river projects, river linkage projects. This 21st century's policies. In those times, Agriculture was a dominant one. This kind of irrigation facilities required. State is also promoting requirement. Throughout our history, different rulers promoted irrigation policies. Whether it is here, in Delhi Sultanate time period also, during Firoz Shah Tughlaq time period, canals. At that time, canals were very common. Canals started. Here we are not seeing the canals. Here, in this Sudarshana Lake was constructed. Sudarshana Lake was constructed. During Firoz Shah Tughlaq time period, canal system came. Vijayanagara Empire, canals were constructed. During British time period also, at that time technology improved. Some of the barrages were constructed. And after independence, free India, independent India constructed so many dams. Bakranangal, Hirakud Dam, many dams. And today also construction of dams were going on. But by this time, environment has become a new challenge. That's why new debate is coming. Whether how big dams are important, whether it is important or is it damaging the environment. That is 21st century challenge. At this time period, lakes were constructed. Sudarshana Lake is one example. This is the survived example. This shows they might have constructed similar kind of tanks, similar kind of reservoirs in some other place as well. Next one. Infrastructure facilities. Roads were constructed. Roads were constructed. Then medical facilities were given. In present day, like public healthcare systems, hospitals from village level to the city level, different type of hospitals. Next, care for destitutes, like old age, orphans, protection against natural calamities, like floods, famines, and particularly for this famine, we got Sohagaura inscription and Mahasthangad. Inscription. They provide references to how state measures during famine time period. Yes, additional tax also during desperate time, emergency time period. This one. Roads, communication systems, medical facilities, care for destitutes, protection against natural calamities, and welfare of the people, Ashoka's Dhamma. For promoting religious tolerance and respect for all religions. This is also a kind of welfare policy, because when people are fighting in the name of ideology, if a ruler promotes that all ideologies are equal, respect each and every ideology. Ashoka used to say that if you degrade other religion, indirectly you are degrading your own religion, because no ideology or no religious philosophy says to degrade the other ideas. When you talk low about other ideas, that means you are considering your religion is inferior. So you are doing disservice not to the others, but you are doing disservice to your own religious ideology. By promoting those philosophies, Ashoka tried to bring harmony in the society. So this is to promote harmony and brotherhood in society. So he followed paternalistic policies. He considered people as his children. He showed paternalistic attitude. Just now we have seen how many differences are there within society. You see this? Brahmanas were there, they were following different ideology. Buddhists were there, they were following different ideology. And within Buddhism also, different people divided among themselves. Jainism, again divisions, Svetambara, Digambaras, divisions. Ajivaka sect, they were following different type of ideology. Upanishadic thought and various other ideologies. Tribal people have their own way of living. And within society, this kind of social segregation is also there. Under these circumstances, when people are fighting in the name of God, in the name of idea, Ashoka followed this principle and he issued various edicts. He wanted to communicate. Effective communication is the other feature of the Mauryan administration. It is like Indian Constitution. Today we have Indian Constitution. But how much generation or how much awareness is generated about the Indian Constitution to different parts of India? How many common people know about Indian Constitution? This is a major challenge even today also, despite having this much a communication system. In those times, Ashoka tried to follow approach that he wanted to issue some kind of edicts, royal edicts, these liberal principles, and he not only issued these liberal principles, but he also tried to communicate them, communicate to the common public. That is why we see these edicts in Kalinga also, in Karnataka also, in western areas also, in northwest policy, in northwest areas also. This shows that his intention to communicate these liberal policies to the public. So he followed this policy. These are welfare, justice system, economic role, welfare policies, and after that, effective communication. This is another feature. Efficient administration. And he used to tell in the Ashoka edicts, at least for every 5 years, government officers should take a tour into the rural areas and get the problems and try to solve them. Efficient administration, royal tours. It is very unique. Generally, royal families or the king used to go for hunting. Hunting tours are very common. So this shows the difference in the policies of the other rulers. Before Ashoka also, some rulers followed hunting expeditions. They used to go for hunting like vacation. But instead, Ashoka told to the officials to take royal tours, to know the public problems and to solve the public problem. This is the deviation from the other type of administration policy. So this is very unique because hunting expeditions, they were very common before Ashoka also, after Ashoka also. But at this time in 3rd century BCE, if you are giving some kind of instruction to your officers, take royal tours and solve the problem, it is something very unique. And this is what India take pride in our own history. Next one, royal tours. Royal roads, postal system, effective communication, and inscriptions across the empire. These are different policies, and up to now we have seen the administrative system at the central level. We have seen India is so much diverse country. Single system, whatever the policies taken at Pataliputra may not work in different parts of Indian subcontinent. Even today also, whatever parliament, if parliament passes the bill, it is followed everywhere, but still there are many areas where central government will not involve in those areas, but give full powers to states. That is what we are calling federalism. Both central laws will be there as well as state laws. These state laws, according to their own geographic location, these people will have different issues, these people will have different issues, these people will have different issues. They are living in different atmosphere, different climate and different geography and different historical culture. They require autonomy. Similarly, when it comes to Mauryan also, it is not completely a centralized as it was proposed by different scholars. Earlier they were thinking that it was completely centralized. There was no scope for provincial autonomy. But it is not that way. Both central administration was also followed and some kind of liberal to the provinces were also given. Now, what type of provincial and local administrations? Provincial. And local administration. Next feature. Examples of provinces. Toshali in the east. Suvarnagiri, Deccan, Ujjain, In the middle are central India, northwest province, different examples of the provinces. And even when Ashoka was a prince, before he became the king, he also served as viceroy to these provinces. Generally, viceroys, governors, administer. For example, today also, each and every state will have governors. Governor is appointed by the president. And also chief ministers will be there. But governor are appointed by the central government. This gives the link between center and the state. There should be a linkage. Otherwise, states will follow their own policies, and after some time they may say that they don't want to stay in India, they want a separate country. That should not happen. Secessionism should not happen. Unity, integrity of the empire or unity, integrity of the country should be maintained today. Same is the case there also. They don't want disintegration in the empire. They want control. Governors will be there. Governors administer. Yuvaraja used to go as governor. Ashoka, he acted as governor in Ujjain also. For some time he went to northwest also. It is very common. During Mughals time period also, Aurangzeb also acted as a governor in different provinces. And when Aurangzeb became ruler, and his sons also, likewise, it is very common that before they become the rulers, they were given responsibilities. And apart from that, Pradeshikas, Sthanika, tax collector. Pradeshika is general administrator. General administration. Sthanika, tax collector. Next, Durgapala, governor of forts. Different ports, fort areas, and in frontiers, Antapala, frontiers like a northwestern frontier, their separate challenge will be there. Foreign invasions used to take place. In the present times, neighbors aggression. That is why near the boundaries, a separate type of administration is required. Antapala. Next, Akshapatala. Akshapatala, accountant. This is how provincial and local administration used to take place. And when it comes to cities, municipal administration was also there. Now you see, whatever the modern Indian constitution is saying, almost all features are there in Mauryan administration. That is why Mauryan administration is ready-made reference to understand our own India's past in the area of political administration. You have written up to here. Shall I go to the next slide? Municipal administration. Municipal administration, the administration of a city. Megasthenes, Indica. It provides details about Pataliputra administration. About Pataliputra. Now we can infer that this similar type of administration might be there in other cities like Ujjain, Toshali, Northwest, Takshila, wherever provincial capital is there, cities might be having similar kind of structure. And he used to say that 6 committees, 5 members in each committee. There were 6 committees. This entire city was administered by 6 committees, and each committee will have 5 members. And these 6 committees also he mentioned. Who are these? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 6 committees, 5 members each. First committee takes care of industry. Industry and crafts. Because urban areas, secondary activities are important in urban economy. Secondary activities, different people come to city, foreign people also stay in the city. Urban areas require different administration, and many goods used to come to the city. Population also more in cities, more population in comparison with rural areas, and accordingly they have to take care of these requirements. Industry and crafts, 1 committee. Then second committee looked after foreigners. Now here foreigners means, for example, Megasthenes. He is from Greek. So various West Asian, from Seleucus Nicator kingdom, some people used to come. From Egyptian kingdom, some people. Macedonian, some people. Central Asia, some people. Sri Lanka, some people might be there. Because Mauryans maintained very strong foreign relations with respect to other. Today also, India is maintaining relations with almost all countries in the world. And many people used to come for tourism also they will come, for business purpose also they will come, for administration. Other countries send their ambassadors to India. And in Delhi you will find different quarters for different ambassadors of different countries. And government has to look after these people, looked after foreigners. And you can see many of these features are comparable with the present day Indian administration. That is why Mauryan administration is very, very crucial. Registration of births and deaths. Population, in simple terms, census of the population. Population, how much population is there, whether growing or decreasing, they will get an idea. 4th one, trade and commerce. So first one is industry. 4th one is trade and commerce. 5th one, inspection. inspection of manufactured goods. And the sixth one, committee, they collect the taxes on goods sold in the market. So taxes on manufacturing, taxes on trade, different committees and different functionalities. This is information we get from Megasthenes. Similarly, this kind of pattern will be there in other parts of empire also. Municipal. Next one. Foreign relations. You make a map, small map. Sri Lanka. Mauryans. Egypt. Syria. Macedonia. And in Mediterranean world, Cyrene, Epirus. Sri Lanka. Patliputra. Ashoka sent ambassadors to Sri Lanka, to different neighboring kingdoms. Just to mention this, then we will write a few points. To write this question, then we will do one by one. Nature of India's contacts with outside world during Mauryans. Nature of India's contacts with outside world during Mauryans. During Chandragupta Maurya time period, we have seen that Chandragupta Maurya, when he became the emperor, he conquered northwestern territories. And these northwestern territories, they were under Greeks, and Seleucus Nicator was the ruler who is controlling these. When the battles between Chandragupta Maurya and Seleucus Nicator, Chandragupta Maurya defeated Seleucus Nicator and he took the control of northwestern areas. Seleucus Nicator got, as part of peace treaty, he asked 500 elephants, Seleucus Nicator. Chandragupta Maurya gave 500 elephants. And northwestern frontier were areas given to Chandragupta Maurya, and matrimonial relationships also maintained. That was during Chandragupta Maurya time period. After him, Bindusara came, And when during Bindusara time period, he also maintained relations with West Asian people. And in one of the, like Megasthenes was the ambassador during Chandragupta Maurya time period. Similarly, these ambassadors were living during Bindusara time period also. And he asked West Asian ambassadors to send some different fruits, wine, and one sophist. Sophist means a philosopher. And by this time, the Western world is known for its philosophy. Like India also known for philosophy. Similarly, this area also known for philosophy. Bindusara was interested to know about their philosophy and asked them. But they sent fruits and wine, but they did not send a sophist, and they said that sophists were not for exporting to other countries. So probably they were considering knowledge as very sacred one, and they wanted to protect their knowledge. They don't want to give it to the outside world. That is why even such a king, powerful king asked, also they denied. It shows, again, Bindusara also maintained good relations with these people. When Ashoka came, Ashoka also maintained good relations, and apart from normal relations, he even promoted Dhamma. He wanted to promote Dhamma also, so that India's or Mauryan Dharma is known to outside world as well. Along with ambassadors of common, like economic aspect and political aspect, he also sent Dhamma ambassadors. So this is what the nature of relations with Mauryans outside and also Sri Lanka, this area. So as of now, we know these areas, and there were some references like he sent ambassadors to Southeast Asia also, but we have more references to West Asia and Sri Lanka, because it is preserved properly and we are able to read them now. You give this. Nature of India's contact, you write one by one. Diplomatic relations. Diplomatic relations. Mauryan emperors maintained relations with the outside world through diplomats. Mauryan emperors sent ambassadors to other countries, but we don't have reference. Like Megasthenes was ambassador. He came to India and he recorded, and his words preserved in other writers. But we don't know what Mauryan ambassadors were doing there. We don't have those references. Mauryan emperors sent ambassadors to outside world and accepted ambassadors from other countries. Megasthenes during Chandragupta Maurya is one such an example. Next, trade and commerce. Trade and commerce. Trade networks between India and West Asia. Trade networks between India and West Asia and the Mediterranean world were well established. India is also connected with Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. Indian goods were exported and India imported goods from outside world. Next, cultural relations. Ashoka sent Buddhist missions to Hellenistic. Hellenistic means Greek world. Sent missions to Hellenistic kingdoms and Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism and his Dhamma. To his Dhamma. Next one, impact of these contacts. Now itself we can understand. Diplomatic relations, it maintained the security of the state. And when it comes to trade and commerce, it improved the economic relations. Both outside world benefited, Mauryan Empire also benefited. Cultural relations, because of Hellenistic influence, in later time period, in post-Mauryan time period, a unique type of culture emerged here. Gandhara school of art emerged. And Buddhism also spread to West Asia, Sri Lanka. Even today also Sri Lanka follows Buddhism, thanks to Ashoka's ambassadors' missions. Write one by one. Cultural synthesism. Are you simply cultural impact? Cultural impact. Mauryan relations laid foundation for Gandhara School of Art in northwestern part of India. Gandhara School of Art. Gandhara School of Art in northwestern India. The relations also enabled spread of Buddhism in Sri Lanka and Hellenistic world. Political impact. Mauryans maintained stable northwestern borders because they have peaceful relations. Whenever you have peaceful relations with neighbors, your boundaries are going to be safe. For example, today, India, China do not have good relations. We will see the conflicts in the boundary areas. India, Pakistan do not have good relations. You will see conflicts near the boundaries. But if you are having the friends in the neighbors, India, Bhutan, very good relations, no problem at all. So likewise, whenever you have good relations with neighbors, Myanmar, we have good relations, no issue here with respect to the neighboring countries. Political impact. Helped Mauryans to create stable boundaries in northwestern areas. Next point. It enabled Mauryan Empire as one of the global powers. Enabled Mauryans to become one of the global powers. Next, economic impact. Economic impact. It boosted the Mauryan economy. It boosted Mauryan economy. Both vibrant land routes and sea routes were maintained. Vibrant land routes and sea routes were maintained with other countries. Next, last point. The trade routes led to the exchange of ideas, technologies, and science between Mauryan Empire and the outside world. Now, what we can see from this example, India is not an isolated country since ancient times. In 1991, liberalization, privatization, globalization. And if you observe, all liberalization, privatization, globalization principles were followed during Mauryan time period itself. But because of the unique circumstances in Second World War, after Second World War, emergence of two blocks, communist, capitalist bloc, and influence of Marxism and communism, India followed mixed economy because it was the trend. It appeared that is a solution to the problem in 1950. But that system did not work out properly. Within 4 decades, the system got decayed, and as a result, we were facing issues. In 1991, we felt that the solution is not in mixed economy or the communist ideology. The better solution lies in liberalization, privatization, globalization. And thereafter, within 30 years, now we are seeing a different kind of prosperity and also different kind of challenges. And now we are thinking about what could be the new mechanism. Ultimately, any policy, any decision is for welfare of the people. Whatever Mauryans were taking at that point of time, that is according to the challenges of 3rd century BCE. Whatever policies we take today, it is related to the challenges of present day India. And this is how liberalization, privatization, globalization, we are seeing in constitution itself, we are having different policies like secularism. Some of these elements we can find in ancient history itself. Republicanism in Mahajanpada time period. These are these are the terms we see in the preamble of the Constitution itself. These are the aims of our Indian Constitution. And some of these goals were there in our ancient tradition itself. And this is the weapon in the hands of our freedom fighters and our constitutional experts to say that even after Indian Constitution was made, the foreign observers were saying that it is just an imitation of outside world. In polity, you will see this, you will encounter this question. Do you think Indian Constitution is just an imitation of the Western world? Because Britishers were ruling, they gave many ideas, those ideas were incorporated in the Indian Constitution. And our founding fathers of Indian Constitution, they read so many constitutions, American Constitution, French, Germany, Russian, and across the globe, they have seen and they have taken the best elements from there. Indian constitutional experts, they say that no doubt we have taken good elements from outside world, but these traditions are not something new for Indian soil. These traditions, some of these traditions were there in ancient time period itself, and it is just a revival of these traditions. Some of these are revival, some we borrowed from the outside world. And we are very proud in saying that no idea is having intellectual property of any country. These are human ideas. Every part of human or every part of the globe is equally inheriting these ideas. So these are the ideas of humanity, not any particular country, and we are proud in taking whatever good elements that are there in the world, we adopted it. So these are some of the old ideas we revived, some whatever is relevant for 20th century, we adopted. And our constitution is having the mechanism of amending also, so that according to 21st century, we can amend the constitution if it requires. Both flexible as well as rigid features we will find in the Indian Constitution. This Mauryan Empire also gave some insights and some solutions to the 20th century and 21st century problems. We adapted it. This is what the characteristics of different areas. Central administration. Now, when it comes to administration, broadly, you can think like central administration, provincial and local administration, then municipal administration, and foreign relations. Overall, politico-admin. So this is what we have seen today. And tomorrow we will try to finish Mauryan Empire. Is it clear up to here? Kanchan and Sanju? One question. How would you characterize the nature of Mauryan state on the basis of Kautilya Arthashastra? Whatever we have discussed, the central administration, provincial administration, whatever we have discussed up to now is according to Arthashastra only. All right? According to Arthashastra, when it comes to municipal administration, our source is Megasthenes. But whatever Megasthenes mentioned, when it comes to Arthashastra, these functions were handled by Adhyakshas. For example, Megasthenes said tolls were collected on the goods, and when it comes to Adhyaksha, Shulka Adhyaksha, he collected the taxes. So whatever he mentioned, Ardhashastra mentioned in the form of Adhyakshas. Adhyakshas were taking care of municipal administration. But whatever we have discussed, central administration and provincial administration, it is based on Ardhashastra only. And also you mentioned Saptanga theory. Kautilya mentioned Saptanga theory. And some of these Saptanga theories were implemented by the Mauryan state. Some did not follow exactly, but some of them were followed by the Mauryan rulers. Is it okay, Sanju? All right then. Tomorrow we will meet. Tomorrow we will try to finish Mauryan Empire. Society, Dhamma and art and culture. Contribution of Mauryans to art and architecture. This, whatever we are studying in Mauryan Empire, this is like almost all institutions are getting the very mature stage. Comparing with early Vedic, in early Vedic we don't have these many things to study. Later Vedic also we don't have these many things. In Mahajanapada time period also, very small kingdoms, we don't have these many things to study. But now you see in Mauryan, it is almost like we are studying like the modern polity, modern economy, modern polity, modern society. Whatever we are studying even today in 21st century, in Mauryan time period itself, these institutions evolved. That's why by Mauryan time period itself, Indian society, the identity of India is emerging by this time period. In later time periods, it is just a continuation of these traditions and some more new elements will adding to it. That's why it is very important to understand Mauryan Empire in this perspective. Clear? Thank you. Tomorrow we will meet. Okay, Kanchan. Okay, Sanju. Thank you. Tomorrow we will meet.